Alright everyone, as of Monday, the Derek Chauvin trial begins in fervor because the jury will begin its deliberations. It's not entirely clear how long it's going to take before they actually deliver a verdict. I would say I would doubt it would go beyond the second or third day. I think it'll be reasonably quick. I mean, it's kind of obvious what the verdict should be, which is a complete exoneration. The last day of the prosecution's attempts were a complete abysmal failure. They got sideswiped by the defense and then by the judge because of their own misbehavior. They kind of threw it, and at this point, I'd be surprised even if he got manslaughter. Murder 2, I think, is basically off the table. The only reason that he would get murder 2 is if they're like, well, for the good of our communities, we have no choice but to throw the book at this poor sap because otherwise there's going to be big-ass riots. But here's the problem, and this is why I urge any of my fans that happen to be in the broader urban Minnesota climate, take a vacation if you can. I know that's not possible for all of you. Try, though. Try to be out of the city. Maybe you take a few days in the countryside or in another state. Here's the problem. Let's say the jury reaches a verdict Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever. They might even do it the same day. It could be that it only takes them a couple hours. Wouldn't that be funny? Now, I think that they'll try, and this would actually probably be a good idea. They should at least not do it the first day to make it look like they had a hefty deliberation, regardless of what they're going to do. That would take a little bit of steam off of it. Here's the thing. There are going to be thousands or tens of thousands of people in multiple urban areas already facing lines of police before the deliberations can culminate. They will be back each day. And unless they drag it out for weeks and weeks, those people will show up because most of them don't have anything better to do than sit there and scream at the police. The police are going to have a massive presence around key infrastructure and buildings, especially the courtroom, police offices, schools, and so forth. They're going to be there. What happens when 3 or 4 cops gather on a street corner? People heckle them. If they're already angry, there's already fucking riots going on anyway. Well, mostly peaceful protests, according to CNN, who literally create propaganda, self-admittedly. Follow Project Veritas, cross-platform for more. Can't do that on Twitter anymore. The Gestapo got them. They talked about verboten things, like exposing Jack Dorsey's stupid friends. There will be problems. I speculate that the night of the verdict, no matter what the verdict is, there will at least be looting. Dude, they'll do celebratory looting. If he gets the book thrown at him, let's say that he gets all 3 charges. We find him guilty of second. We find him guilty of lesser included charges. We're putting him in jail for 20, 30 years. Let's say they do that. So Chauvin has no possibility that he's getting out alive because he's an older-ist dude, isn't he, in his 50s or something. 20, 30 years is basically a life sentence, more or less. They can do compassionate release, but he'll look like Santa Claus by that point. Only thin. Prison food. High calorie, but, what else is there to do all day except I guess he does push-ups. Or some dude does push-ups on him, maybe in jail. They're gonna riot. If he gets found not guilty, or if there's a hung jury, which they'd be crazy to re-prosecute him at that point, just have to fucking let it go. Or if they give him just lesser included manslaughter or something, people will riot out of rage. They'll be there, they'll get the verdict, the cops are in front of them, they'll start screaming and throwing shit, the cops will try to force him to leave, they'll tear gas people and use rubber bullets, the Antifa will be there throwing bombs and mortars and shit, and all hell will break loose, and Wendy's will burn, and Foot Locker will burn, and all of those woke corporations that have given untold billions to BLM, their stores will burn in these urban environments. More power to them in that case. I guess at least then the victim kind of deserves it. Victim, Wendy's. Do you remember that one where there was the Wendy's on fire and people throwing shit at it and they're like, well, this is a kind of a energetic protest here. And then the CNN news crew got attacked. By the way, again, I think their headquarters is still in Atlanta. It's very interesting. But again, even if he gets found guilty of everything, even if the BLM Antifa thugs get what they want, they will still riot. It's just that the mood will be slightly different. They'll be celebrating. Then you get more looting than rioting. They'll run through the streets in large crowds. We saw this with basically every other instance where the MSM is rooting for rioting to go on by deliberately fanning the flames of hate and paranoia. And we see that now. We're seeing that more now than with Ferguson. Well, look at what fucking happened there. You remember the first night of riots? Oh, I watched the whole fucking thing live for hours and hours. I think Oddly enough, I think I was watching the Vice stream. And, I mean, it was surreal. There was that one parking lot. This is sort of etched in my mind. Someone started a fire on one of the cars, and because the fire department's obviously too busy to respond to anything that's not like an actual home or something, or next to a gas station, it just spread from car to car, and it was like, you know, watching dominoes fall. The whole fucking lot was engulfed, basically. And people are running around randomly looting and shooting. The cops, meanwhile, were too busy policing the peaceful protesters, and this is the other thing that happens. And this is not the fault, actually, of the protesters themselves. The problem is that when you get a large group of mostly peaceful individuals, they might be a little riled up, but they're not throwing shit, they're marching around. We saw this in Ferguson. The police send 1,000 SWAT team members to watch them, and there's not enough resources left, even with other agencies coming in to help them, to actually staff the rest of the city. Because what happens with looting is a flash mob of people smashes a window, they run in, and within 5 minutes they're gone. Dude, the average response time under good circumstances in the average Metro police force is like 15 minutes, which is exactly why people should own guns. But I think in the state of Minnesota, you're not ably allowed to defend yourself. That's why BLM thugs and Antifa thugs will attack people at whim. They know they'll get let out without charges, and they know nobody's going to be shooting at them unless they've got nothing left to lose, and they're just like, fuck it, I'm taking care of this, and then they can take me out themselves. You should probably vacate your urban Minnesota climb for a small town. Maybe the edge of the city. Go out beyond the suburbs. Maybe go to Jamaica for a couple of weeks. Go to somewhere that's more safe, like fucking Cuba, where I guess Raul Castro actually just stepped down. Go to Venezuela. There's probably less crime than there will be in Minnesota, at least for a couple of nights after the verdict comes in. Because these people are insatiable. They're just violent hoodlums. They're not capable. There's no way to appease them. This is why it'd be stupid if the jury just gives him a slap on the wrist manslaughter charge, compared to murder too, to try to keep the riots at bay. It won't work. They'll still riot. Again, they'll be looting and shooting anyway. It doesn't really matter what's done. They're not really part of polite society. They're just incapable of functioning in it because they got weird ideological beliefs, and they've been whirled around and brainwashed by the MSM. It was just like Bongino said there, I think it was on MSNBC a few days ago, or Fox. Geraldo Rivera was there, and he's like, whoa, you've got to ask why these people are afraid of police, and Bongino is very, very correct. No, because you tell them to be. The MSM does this. Not just Geraldo Rivera, although he's definitely one of the biggest kooks of all time. Just look up the Satanic Panic or Al Capone's Vault, or that Nazi program there where he got punched in the nose, and that was very, very funny. And he deserved it. No, it's all of them. Fox does the same fucking shit at this point, too. They don't get exonerated. That's about all. Peace out.